I first met Karen-Eileen Gordon when we were both attending a Zoom speech training group, or it was called Get the Message of You with Judy Carter, famed comedian. And we became fast friends through a Zoom room. We've never met in person, but I consider Karen-Eileen one of my dearest friends now. She has likely been in your living room in one of the 50 plus film or television projects she's acted in, including fan favorites like Curb Your Enthusiasm, Rockstar Games, and Grand Theft Auto 5. She's a Harvard grad that knows a thing or two about stress, having worked herself into a pile of goo many times over the course of her high-octane career. As a result, she searched the globe for tools to help her thrive. She was so successful that other people started asking her advice. As a professional member of National Speakers Association, all the way from South Florida, she now delivers keynotes and workshops on radical self-care, teaching easily accessible, powerful tools that bring change right now, allowing you to thrive at all stages of your journey. She will share several of those today with us and lead us through these examples in real time from the comfort of our Zoom home. Forgive my husband printing because he didn't know not to print right now. I'd like to please welcome Karen-Eileen Gordon. I'm very excited to have her today.
Oh, thank you, wonderful friend Janice, and thank you everybody for having me here today. I am over the moon to be starting your day with you. How exciting. I'm going to start a little timer for myself because I like to be very respectful of your time limits, and I want to leave plenty of time for questions. I thought I would start, we're going to talk about radical self-care today. I thought I would start with a little video, about 2 minutes, of some of my film and television and commercial highlights. I'm not sure if I'm empowered to share my screen. Yes, I am. Let's do it. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Somebody give me a thumbs up. Can you see the black screen there? Anybody? Yes,
yeah,
good.
We see it. Push play.
There we go. Play.
The room, please.
I'm very sorry, sir. We're completely filled to capacity this evening.
Okay. There's a guy in this hotel. His name's Craig Butler. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm paying for his room. I don't want to pay for it anymore. Wake him up, get him out of that room. That's my room.
Okay. This room is paid for through tomorrow. The cards have already been run for this evening, so he's authorized to be in the room till 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, checkout time. Our manager would be happy to work out the bill with you. Come back tomorrow. He comes on at 10.
You don't have a room for me in this hotel tonight? That one room? Don't you always keep extra rooms for people?
Not one room. You're not the first person we've turned away.
I'm Frank Sinatra Jr. You're turning me away tonight? Is that what you're saying to me? Junior walks in here, you're turning him away?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately.
The Pope is being just shooed out into the street? You're shooing the Pope out? Is that what you're going to do?
Yes, sir. We are filled to capacity, sir.
Does V know? Mm-mm. You want to tell her?
Mm-mm. There is a tin lining.
I only have seconds to live.
They're sending Joan.
Great. Joan who?
Kennedy. Teddy's new wife. Very cute, very blonde, very shiksa.
It's not Jackie, goddammit.
Miss Montana, I'm afraid you're going to have to leave.
But she wants to go with me.
See? Please, you're upsetting the patient.
Have you seen your eye shadow? Honey, you're upsetting the patient.
That's it. You're out of here. Come on.
Oh, sure.
Did you do any preparation for that possibility?
Excuse me?
Did you ask your witness to answer the question?
Yes, I served him a beverage.
Wine, I believe.
I was trying to be polite.
Was it polite to secretly record a private conversation?
Which escalated very rapidly into something at the other end of the spectrum. Now, from what we understand, there has been a police presence on location all morning, and there are reinforcements on their way, which are quite needed at this point. At the heart of the controversy is the adoption of a baby by a gay couple, two young men, Nelson Hirsch and Angelo Ferrara.
Hi, honey.
This uncomfortable bathroom moment brought to you by Angels.
Okay, let me stop my share. So that's a few of my highlights. I've been very blessed to be a working film, television, voiceover, stage, audiobook actor for many, many years. I'm happy to come back and talk only about that if you want to talk about the world of entertainment. Today, I am so excited to share with you some radical self-care. And as you would imagine, the career path of an actor is not a calm, peaceful, relaxing career path. There is a pretty elevated level of stress in that career path. And even before I was acting full-time, I was in the corporate world. I was a radio producer for the Armed Forces Radio Network. I worked in Paris. I know you've got a member from Paris. I lived and worked in Paris at Société Générale, the bank there in the currency exchange division. So I had a long corporate career before I became an actor. And in all of that, I constantly needed to find ways to bring my stress level down and boost my peace. And as Janice very beautifully stated, there was enough change in me that people started asking me what I was doing. So I'm going to share with you today one, possibly two tools that you'll begin to use immediately the moment you leave this meeting to boost your calmness and vanquish stress almost instantly. The things that I am interested in teaching you and using myself are the things that work very, very fast and can be used anywhere. And I'm talking 30 to 60 seconds. I'm a big fan of anything in our lives that helps us take care of ourselves. And as we know, it's been a very interesting 16 months. I'm actually going to change my view because I would like to see all of you. Look at these beautiful faces. So I'm going to ask a question that I already know the answer to, but it's very interactive today. So raise your hand if the past 16 months has been more stressful for you than any time previously. If I had 100 hands, I would raise all 100 hands. There we go. So I love radical self-care because when something big changes in our world or our life, that can be our business life, our personal life, they're all connected, as we know. The way we take care of ourselves on a regular basis, which might be here on a regular day where there's nothing out of the ordinary happening, that level of self-care. When things change and we have more demands on us, the level of our self-care needs to up-level to meet the new demands on us, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And so one of the best ways in to do that is with our breath. And so I'm going to give you two very good radical self-care tools today, both of which involve the breath. There are lots of them. And I'm happy to come back as often as you'll have me and teach as many of these tools as you're interested in. It's my great joy to teach them because they've made such an impact on my life. And as we know, stress is naughty. And there's a lot of really, really interesting research, including very high-level institutions, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, among them, that tell us that 75 to 90% of anything that will ever go wrong with our instrument, our being, is stress-related. Let me say that again. 7 to 9 out of 10 things that ever show up in our world that are less than lovely are directly related to stress. So it's a big deal. And the first tool I want to give you is something called alternate nostril breathing. Do I have any yoga people in the house? This tool is taught in a lot of places. Let me scroll through. Here I'm scrolling. There we go. So in the world of wellness, I'm a yoga instructor because I found that was very healing and soothing for me. I also do something called Reiki, which is Japanese energy healing. I'm a meditation leader. So I've done a deep dive into tools that help us to stay calm. And alternate nostril breathing is a really big favorite of mine because what it does is it gets the left and right side of our brains talking to each other. And a really simple way to describe it, and I love neurobiology and neurochemistry, I'm sort of like a science geek. When we're stressed or anxious or worried, or fill in your descriptor there, the two sides of our brain don't want to talk to each other. They go to opposite ends of the room with little blankets and cookies, and they stay in the corner, and they don't want anything to do with each other, which in turn makes us feel out of balance or stressed or off kilter, we have less access to our brilliant intuition and ideas. Alternate nostril breathing, which I'm about to talk you through, gets the left and right side of the brain happy and talking to each other and reinstalls our ability to access the highest level of all the tools we already have available. We're going to do it right now. I'm going to talk you through it, and then we will actually do it in real time. So if you were in a yoga class, they would have you do a fancy hand position called a mudra. It's a Sanskrit word that means hand. But I say you use whatever you like. Basically, you're going to be doing what it sounds like, blocking one nostril and then another. Here's what it looks like, and then I'll talk you through it. And we're going to do a 4 count. So you'll breathe into 4, hold for a beat, and breathe out to 4. I'll count for you. So you're going to block one nostril, breathe in through that nostril, hold, breathe out through that nostril, block it, breathe in through the other nostril, breathe out through the other nostril. We're going to do that 3 or 4 rounds right now. Now, unless you're driving, I think there might be a couple of you driving. If you're driving, please don't do this unless you're at a stoplight. Please, we want complete safety. We want radical self-care to include you arriving safely to your destination. That's a big part of radical self-care. So if you're in your beautiful Zoom square, in the piece of your Zoom square, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes. If you're more comfortable turning off your camera and doing so, I invite you to do that. Before I lead you through this, I'd like you to notice, just notice on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is you're so relaxed right now, you might be a noodle. People might mistake you for a piece of pasta. You're so noodly, you might just fall asleep and slump out of your Zoom square peacefully. That's 1. All the way to 10, which is you're so stressed out, even though your day's just beginning, you're so stressed out, you might have a panic attack. So from 1 to you're a noodle, to 10, panic attack. Where is your stress or worry or anxiety or calmness level right now? Just notice there's only right answers. Okay. Everybody get comfortable. If you'd like to, again, close your eyes. Go ahead and block your right nostril and breathe in through the left nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a beat. Breathe out through that same nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in through that left nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Block the left nostril. Breathe out through the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in through the right nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a beat. Breathe out through the left nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in through the left nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Block that. Breathe out through the right nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last round. Breathe in through the right nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Block that nostril. Breathe out through the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Deep breath in. Out with some sound. One more. Deep breath in. Out with some sound. Excellent. I've got some world-class breathers in the room with me today. It's very good indeed. So I'm going to invite you to notice now on that scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is noodle, you're going to fall asleep in your Zoom square, and 10 is panic attack. Where is your number now? And I'm going to be super bossy pants and assume that your number is likely a little closer to noodle than before the alternate nostril breathing. And that was about 30 seconds. If you're very stressed or worried or anxious in any particular day or moment, maybe it'll take you 60 seconds. Maybe it'll take you 2 minutes, but it doesn't take an hour. You don't need to be on a massage table, though I love massages. You don't need to be on a yoga mat, though I love yoga mats. You don't need to take a huge walk in nature, though I'm a huge fan of that. All of those things that help us be calm are wonderful. I want to empower you with a toolkit that works almost instantly. So this is one of those things. We have some time to do the second one. Let's do it. It's very beautiful. It's called heart-centered breathing. Also a breath tool, because breath typically is the quickest way to short circuit whatever's going on in mind, body, spirit that has our stress levels elevated. So in this one, and I'll talk you through it, you're going to imagine breathing in and out through your heart. Now, physiologically, obviously, that is not what happens. As far as we know, the heart does not have lungs. Maybe thousands of years from now, they'll discover there were tiny lungs in the heart, but at the moment, we don't believe there's any lungs in the heart. So when you imagine yourself breathing in and out through your heart center, there's something really interesting that kicks in. They've done some fascinating studies on this. When you imagine breathing in and out through your heart, there's a level of self-compassion and self-kindness and a cascade of really wonderful chemicals that get created in the body that do not kick in when you're doing just a typical measured breathing exercise. And to be clear, any exercise that measures your breathing and regulates it is extremely helpful. The reason I love heart-centered breathing is because there's that added bonus of, in addition to being calmer, it's almost like a blanket of kindness or self-love or well-being sort of descends around people when they do this exercise. And here's the really fun about this one. Alternate nostril breathing, that might be a little challenging to do if you're in a Zoom meeting and you're suddenly doing this with a client. That is perhaps a little odd. But it's, if you have that kind of Zoom square, go for it. They'll say, what are you doing? You'll say, I'm doing alternate nostril breathing. But mostly alternate nostril breathing you want to do when you're not in a place where it matters that you're mushing on opposite sides of your nose. This one, heart-centered breathing, you can do anywhere. I'm going to lead us through it and ask you when we do it to place your hands on your heart, but you can do it by just imagining you're breathing in and out of your heart center. And because of that, it's infinitely portable. You can do it in traffic. You can do it in line at the grocery store. You can do it in the middle of a challenging conversation with a fill in the blank, a boss, a loved one, a friend. It is portable. It is usable anywhere. And again, very similar to alternate nostril breathing, works very quickly. So again, like you just notice your number, scale of 1 to 10. 1 is noodle, 10 is panic attack. Where is your number? Just notice, only right answers. And again, I invite you to get comfy wherever you're sitting. Again, unless you're driving, please do this in the replay when you're stopped. Just relax, maybe roll your shoulders a little moment, get comfy physically. And I'm going to invite you to place one or both hands over your heart center and close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Camera on or off, however you're comfortable. I love seeing either your faces or your pictures. I'm busy staring at all of you happily. So same thing, we're going to count in and out on a 4 breath, but this time you're going to imagine like the air coming in through the heart and then going out through the heart. So here we go. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a beat. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a beat. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a beat. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a beat. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a beat. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a beat. Last round. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a beat. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. Deep breath in, out with some sound. And one more. Deep breath in, out with some sound. Very nice indeed. And again, I invite you to notice where your beautiful number is at the moment, your calmness number. A scale of 1 to 10. 1 is noodle, 10 is panic. Notice if you're any closer to the state of noodleness. Now, there are literally dozens, I would say close to 100 radical self-care tools that I teach. The reason I love to teach all of them is that you may fall in love with one in particular that's your go-to, which might be very different from your neighbors or your significant others or your best friends. It's all about what's going to work for you in that moment on that day. And again, the reason I love these two is that they're very portable. Everybody's got lungs. Everybody's got a beautiful imagination, especially strong in this group. And so these two are usable right away and work very, very quickly indeed. Let's see, we're at about 18 minutes. Let me check in with our moderators and see how much time I have. I have other tools I can teach, but I want to be very respectful. 10 minutes left? 10? Great. Does that include questions, Madam Janice? No. Okay, good. We're going to do a third one. Oh, that's very, very exciting. Okay, great. So this one I love, and this one is also, this is less portable. This is one you want to do while you're seated or reclining or laying. I prefer to do it with my eyes closed, but I want you to try it on. Your sovereign, whatever works for you is wonderful. This is called 5 sensory visualization. This tool is a mandatory part of the training of most of your favorite gold medal Olympians. So powerful that it's required in how they train. And there's all these wonderful quotes about, I think it's Missy Franklin. Somebody correct me if they know. I believe it's Missy Franklin. She's a multiple gold medal award-winning swimmer. She says something like, by the time she's gotten to the event, she's already done the race hundreds or thousands of times in her mind. So she's calm, she's centered, she's grounded. She's already won the gold medal. She's seen it happen. And there's really fascinating neurobiology that says that what we see going on in the world with our physical senses, our neural net, the thing that responds to us in our body, can't tell the difference between something we're seeing with our own eyes and something we're seeing with our eyes closed and imagining. Let me say that again, because that's a pretty big deal. Our neural net does not distinguish between what we see in front of us with our physical eyeballs and what we're imagining happening with our eyes closed. And so that tool has been leveraged to its max by many of your favorite, like I said, gold medal Olympians. So here we go. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, and we're going to do some 5 sensory work. 5 sensory, you will remember probably from grade school. See, touch, hear, smell, and taste, but I'm going to lead you through. Okay, here we go. So go ahead and close your eyes, and I want you to please imagine that you are seated in an office, a very pleasant office, and in just a moment across from you is about to be someone that's going to change your career life radically for the better. This could be somebody that you've always wanted to meet with. This could be somebody that you don't know yet, a celebrity status in your universe, but you've always felt is sort of very inspirational to you or a mentor to you, but you've actually got a meeting with this person. So this person's about to enter the room. So I'm going to anchor us into the 5 sensory world right now. So I want you to notice, this is the sense of feeling. I want you to notice how it feels to be sitting on the chair you're sitting on. Is it squishy? Is it hard? And you are, congratulations, by the way, director of your own movie right now. So I'd like to suggest that you make this movie as beautiful and comfortable as you can for yourself. You're in charge. So I'd like you to make yourself very comfortable indeed on this chair. I'd like you to feel your feet in your shoes. What shoes are you wearing? Take a look down in this visualization. What shoes have you chosen? And of course, you've chosen shoes that feel very comfortable to you and that you really like. So wiggle your toes, feel your feet in those shoes, feel your feet against the floor, feel how solid that your feet are on the floor, and the nice, pleasant solidness of your body in the chair. And just feel the comfortability of the clothes you've chosen to wear today. You're very, very comfortable in what you've chosen. You can feel that fabric against your skin. If the chair has a back, you feel your back against that chair. And you just feel very comfortable and confident where you are. And now we're going to do the sense of sight. What do you see? I want you to look around. Now, you've already looked a bit at yourself, but go ahead and take a really good look at what you're wearing. And you've chosen something that, again, you really like. What color is it? What is the fabric? Look at the shoes. What have you got on your hands? Did you choose a particular ring? Do you have a particular bracelet or watch? If you have your wedding band or bands on, take a look at those. And look around you. What is in this office? What's on the desk in front of you? What kind of desk is it? Are there pictures on it? Are there plants? Is there a computer? Take a look around on the walls. Is there art of any kind? What is it? Is there a window? If so, what's out through that window? What time of day is it? Is it morning, afternoon, or evening? Can you tell by the sunlight? you're just looking around and taking in this beautiful office that you're in. Again, very, very comfortable. And now we're going to go to the sense of hearing. And what are you hearing here? What is the sound in this room? Is it completely quiet? Is there a clock ticking? Are there bustling office sounds coming through the wall? Are you hearing traffic maybe coming from outside? Are there sounds of phones ringing or people clacking on keyboards? What is the sound in here right now? And now let's move to the sense of smell. What are you smelling? What's the scent in this room? And again, you're the director here, so make it pleasant and comfortable for you. What is your favorite scent? We can install that into this vision right now. Is there air freshener in the room? Is there a plant that has a fragrance? Do you have a cup of coffee or tea or a juice or something in your hand that's wafting up into your nose? I want you to like inhale and just kind of smell that. And now the sense of taste. Did you have a breath mint or a piece of gum before coming to this meeting? Is there something on your tongue? If you're drinking a beverage, did you just have a sip of that? Just get anchored into the sense of taste. And now your wonderful person comes in and sits down across from you. And again, you're feeling very comfortable. You're very confident. And I like to add in the sixth sense here, which is really your mental, emotional, spiritual state. And again, because you are in charge of this movie, I'm going to suggest that you are really confident and comfortable. You know that this conversation is going to go really beautifully. And so I'd like you to just feel what that feels like in your body, to be really happy to be there and really confident and comfortable to have this wonderful conversation. So your person comes in and sits down across from you in this wonderful chair and is just all smiles. And I want you to imagine that they say to you something wonderful. And here's my suggestion, but you can fill in the blank. They say to you, I cannot believe it took us this long to meet. I cannot wait to meet with you. We'd like to offer you way more money than you've asked for. Can you start immediately? And if not, we'll give you as much time as you need. And I want you to just sit in that energy for a moment and let that land on you. How does it feel to have this wonderful human being that you've really been looking forward to meet say to you, we can't wait to partner with you. We can't wait to work with you. We can't wait to co-create with you. You're the one we've been waiting for. You're it. We are beyond excited. I want you to just sort of be in that moment, whether you're laughing or crying or feel like jumping up and down or in shock. I want you to let all of that in. And then I want you to imagine yourself fast forward a bit to the end of this meeting, and after our meeting today in the Zoom, you can come back to this scenario and spend as much time here as you like. But for now, I want you to imagine leaving this meeting feeling very, very uplifted and jubilant, and getting ready to call the very first person you know you will call to share this good news. So taking out your cell phone and getting ready to dial that number and share this incredible life-changing news from this meeting that has just happened. So I'm going to invite you to very, very gently come back. I wish we had another 30 minutes. We would swim around in this. It's very delicious. But for now, please come back gently into your Zoom square in this beautiful morning meeting. I'd like you to take 3 deep breaths in and out with some sound. So deep breath in, out with some sound. Second one, deep breath in, out with some sound. Last one, deep breath in and out with some sound. Really nice. I consider myself to be fairly sensitive to the energy in rooms. I think many, many people are. It's a skill I think we can develop. And I must say that in the beginning, before Janice even introduced me, I was really reveling in the wonderful energy in this group. This group is extraordinary. Just as somebody said, the love in this room and the energy in this room is really palpable. And so during this exercise, I felt a really nice shift. So for some of you, hopefully all of you, I felt a really nice energetic shift of calling in this vision of this wonderful event that can happen. And your fellow Olympians and the people who do the brain science will tell you that pre-paving or pre-picturing this actually helps your brain to line up subconsciously the things that you might need to do to actually call in the equivalent of this. So it's a powerful tool for business and productivity and life enhancement, in addition to feeling really wonderful. It has been my great joy to be here with you today and give you 3 radical self-care tools: alternate nostril breathing, heart-centered breathing, 5 sensory visualization. Please go forth and take beautiful care of yourself. The world needs you. You are a gift. It's my honor to have been here, and I can't wait to hear how it goes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Such a joy. Joy. Do we take, tell me the protocol. Do we take questions? I'm happy to answer anything we have time for.
Well, this is the part in the program where we get to ask you questions.
Please.
So I see Janice, would you like to start off? And then I see Antonio's hand also.
So a few years ago, I went to a wellness conference and we did that alternate nostril breathing. There's a Buddhist name for it.
There is a Sanskrit word for it, and it escapes my brain at the moment. But yes, there is. It's a beautiful Sanskrit phrase, which if I can find it, I'll post it in the group or on Facebook for you.
Sometime I'd love to learn more about the 5 sensory visualization of me standing in front of a large audience, giving a wonderful keynote speech, bringing people up to do Zumba with me, and giving people all my tips about how to banish their burnout and getting a standing ovation. So
You've got it. You've absolutely got it. And I do quite a bit of work with speakers to do just that, where they're literally behind the curtain looking at the audience. So you can customize this visualization for any group or any size or any event. So please dive into that. That's beautiful.
All right. Well, I'm going to call you for that appointment.
Okay, great. Call me. We'll do it.
Antonio?
Karen-Eileen, I just want to say in tribute to some of the things in your career that was pretty good.
I'll take it. Thank you very much.
That was terrific. And for some reason, I don't know why, but George Clooney sat down at the opposite end of my table here and wanted to do business with me here. So that's not too shabby. So
very excited for you.
That was a wonderful exercise. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
No, I can't see. We have 2 screens, so I can't see everybody's hands.
Goodness,
so, if somebody has a question, you may have to just jump in. Karen-Eileen, well, actually, Antonio first. Antonio, George Clooney was here across from my desk, so I'm sorry.
He was very busy today. Wow.
George gets around.
He gets around.
Did he have some coffee with him? Yes.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, okay, another question. I see Alan Garber has his hand up. Alan?
Karen-Eileen, my question for you is, what was it like working with Larry David and being on that show?
And let me say, you can ask me questions in any area. So I'm happy to take questions about film, television, voice over stage, and audiobooks. I'm an audiobook narrator, so any of you who are authors who want to talk about audiobooks, I could talk about that all day. I've got a lot of stuff on iTunes, Amazon, and Audible. I help authors do that, so all questions in all areas. Larry David is phenomenal. He is exactly like you see him in the show. He is very quirky and comes off as very cranky, but actually he's giant-hearted. He treated everybody on set as an equal. He was very kind and patient and hilarious. And that entire thing was completely improvised. So that show is completely, there is no script. Typically as an actor, you get a script. There's no script. The director said to me and to Larry, okay, Larry, you're in a hotel and you're trying to kick this dude out of his room. Karen-Eileen, don't let him do that. Action. That was it. That was the direction. That was the whole direction. And a really fun behind the scenes tidbit, there's all these crazy things that go on in the film universe that unless you're on set, you don't really know about. they had to spray the mirror behind me with hairspray like 4 or 5 times because the reflection was so strong it was messing with their light readings. So every now, between every take, there'd be somebody with hairspray to come and spray on the mirror. And that's the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, which is a real functioning historic hotel in Los Angeles. That's where that was filmed. Great question. Thank you. He was marvelous. And I was terrified. It was terrifying and fabulous to just improvise live on camera. It's now one of my favorite things, but that was terrifying.
Okay, I see Janice has her hand up. Janice?
Speaking of stress, what is probably one, I imagine it's very stressful to learn a script and then they say action and you've got to not only remember words, but be the character. And I can imagine it being a lot of fun improvising with Larry David and being stressed that he's going to like your take on what he's doing and the give and take will be there. So describe a little bit the stress itself and what led you to do this heart-centered work that you're doing.
So that you talking about the stress that comes from performing as an actor and having to bring these characters to life.
Especially on camera. Yeah.
So the really interesting thing about working with a script, if you can improvise, you don't have to worry about getting a line wrong or coming off they call it, going up on your lines. Those of you in the stage world, it's called going up on a line, meaning you go up to a place where the line is not correct. It's called going up. So typically 99% of shows are not improvised. And so often a room full of writers has been paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to put that the or that a exactly where it is. So you need to be word for word perfect. And that's a level of stress. So I, like many actors, have my own techniques for memorizing. I love to record and listen back. And then I record with something called a hole in it. So I have the other person's line and I have a version where there's silence. And then I would say my line with nothing underneath it. So I have a way to sort of train myself. I like to write them out. But I found that my stress over memorizing would keep me from retaining the lines. So if I were to do 2 minutes of heart-centered breathing or alternate nostril breathing before I did the memorization, I found that my brain retained more quickly and longer. So there's a direct correlation for me as an actor. And also when I'm keynoting or workshopping, I want to retain salient points without having to have my notes in front of me all the time. Doing some of this radical self-care, I found made a radical difference in my ability to retain information peacefully and not have stress about it and just know it was going to be there. So that was a really big change. It's a great question, Janice. Thank you.
I would imagine that every single person in this room, whether you're a speaker or in Antonio's business, maybe making a sales pitch, or anytime you have to present any information or have an important meeting with a funder if you're in fundraising or closing a deal if you're in real estate, Betty, I would imagine that what you're talking about applies to all of us, because when you're super nervous, the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala are fighting for attention and you can't think clearly. And the calm that you're teaching us, like you said, helps you get everything connected and allows the thinking part of the brain to plug in.
It does. And there is that science, which I mentioned because I love it. So anytime we're stressed, the two halves of the brain go into opposite corners of the room and refuse to talk to each other. That's a simplified version of what's happening. And alternate nostril breathing gets them at the same table working together. And there's huge implications in business for that. Because when we are centered and grounded and our brain is talking properly to itself, we have access to our best ideas. We have access to our intuition. We have access to a level of openness and collaboration that just vanishes when we are stressed. When we're stressed, everything contracts, including your brain, which cuts off access to all of the things you would want to bring in to any business interaction, to any speech, to any personal or business interaction ever. So it's profoundly useful, which is why I adore it. More? Anything?
Yeah, I'm curious about this because you'd mentioned just stress and you'd mentioned the when you're improvising, for example, versus a script.
Correct.
And I found that true as a musician. There's different types of musicians. There's great classical musicians. You can read the sheet music, and they can play it brilliantly. But I've always gravitated more to the jazz players because they can just, pick up any instrument and just go for it. But a lot of them don't even read music. So I think that's a great analogy to what you're doing, because it's you have this creative process that just, and you're very, the way you express yourself. I love your hands. You use your hands a lot.
Yes, I like to press around the Zoom square. I like to make use of the whole thing. Yes.
It's brilliant. How much of this is more personal, but I'm just curious, how much of your persona, you've got the stage presence, but how much of this is from training, and versus is this just mostly just native personality coming out of you?
You mean how I'm showing up today? My energy? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is me. This is me. I have a father who was obsessed with home movies. So by from the time I came out all the way till now, whenever he's around, he's like this with the camera. Hilarious. So there's really hard evidence that I came onto the planet sort of predestined to be a performer. There's like movies of me doing jazz hands at age 3. And, running around the house with a hairbrush, pretending I'm a Spanish news anchor. I didn't speak Spanish till much later, but I was babbling in gibberish to the mirrors. So I was born this way, as Lady Gaga would say. I was born this way.
So nothing's changed much.
Nothing's changed. And this is the non-caffeinated version of me. So I have to be very mindful.
That's great.
It's a compliment. Thank you for the question very much. I love what I talk about. I love sharing this information. I love what I do. So it's very easy for me to get sort of very joy-filled very quickly when I'm in this world.
I mean, Betty, I see your hand up, and I'm just curious how you manage this with, because a lot of times in business, we're up against real interesting situations where I use the breathing exercises all the time. But stress kind of, when you get stressed, you kind of lock up, right?
That's right.
How do you deal with it, Betty?
Well, first of all, Karen-Eileen, thank you. Your enthusiasm is pervasive. I love it. And I do this too. But I never thought of taking up the whole screen. How do I deal with it? I really try to do breathing. But and I thank you for the explanation of the alternate nostril, because with the two brains, yeah, I wish.
Well, we kind of two brains, the two halves. Yeah, they are two brains, really. They do different things.
And how they're separate, and then but what my question is, well, first of all, I take deep breaths going across the Golden Gate Bridge. I tried to have that as my trigger, just 5 deep breaths. So just to relax and unclench my jaw. And when I do that driving, so that's one way I do it. Yeah. Sometimes before I go into a listing appointment or whatever. And when I'm having a challenging conversation on the phone, I just have to calm down and settle down. I'm really, I think, pretty good at not reacting. But my question is this. Susan said that she couldn't remember what she had for dinner last night.
Memory.
Last night I had dinner with a friend, and I'm thinking of inviting him. And you all know him. You've met him. He's come to the Breakfast Club before, and I'm trying to get him more involved again. And I thought, oh my God, I'll invite him. And I could not remember his name. His first name for literally 10 seconds more. And I thought, okay, don't panic. So I started to.
It's Rich.
Not you. You're already a member.
Oh, there's so much humor in this group.
Morning, Rich. And so, and I thought, oh, this is the most important thing for me, and I'd like your thoughts on this, Karen-Eileen, is just not worry, not panic. Don't stress out because I can't remember the name. And sure enough, when I relax, it'll pop in. And I call it overload.
That's right. And again, there's beautiful, beautiful science that says that whether you're 18 or 98, when you're stressed, things fall off your mental hard drive. That is one of the repercussions of stress. Memory is immediately impacted, not connected to how long we've been on the planet, but how much the brain is being asked to do when other things are already contracted. So your intuition is very, very good. in terms of breath and centeredness and anything that calms you, assisting memory. Now, I'm not a physician, obviously, so if anybody ever feels there's something going on other than that, please seek out beautiful medical love and attention. Most of the time, we panic. I think of Arnold Schwarzenegger. What is the name of that movie? I think it's Kindergarten Cop. And the kid's like, he's like, my head hurts. And the kid's like, it's a tumor. And Arnold says, it's not a tumor. It's not a tumor. So we have, I like to call it the devil brain, or the inner mean girl or mean boy that lives in our head. Anything at all that goes off in our body, we immediately get worst case scenario. And so that's something to do. There's another tool which I can teach you when I come back. It's called a switch to thought. So if you're getting a persistent thought of like, oh, this is something's wrong, the switch to thought would be, if I could wave my magic wand and have the opposite of this thought be true, what would the opposite be? Well, and it has to be something that feels authentic to you, like, well, I forgot the name because I'm stressed. And as soon as I come down, the name will come back. So when that's a switch to thought. So whenever your brain says, oh, there's something wrong with my brain, you would go, oh, no, I'm just stressed. And the name will come back to me. But literally, you may have to counter it every time. It's called a switch to thought. And the way you know you've come to a switch to thought is you feel relaxed. You feel like exhaling when you say it to yourself or someone else. Yeah, it's fun. And we very naturally do this. We self-soothe and we self-talk, and you can do that, a switch to thought, in any situation with any sort of thought that would be considered negative or contracted. You know, if you could wave a magic wand and have the opposite be true in a way that feels good to you, what would that opposite thought be? And then it's an antidote. It's a counter every time that comes up. Is that helpful? Good. Yeah.
Susan Rowan.
Thank you for this. I love the alternate nostril breathing. It is very calming.
Good.
But this is a tip, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. One of the things that is not helpful ever, if you're with someone who is stressed, to turn to them and say, calm down. Nothing stresses me more.
No.
So for those of you that have done that, don't ever do that.
That is a beautiful, beautiful statement, because calm down is actually, and I love language. I speak French and Spanish. I study the nuance of language. Calm down is a command. So it's not coming into someone else's space and saying, gosh, I'm noticing that you're stressed. Is there anything I can do for you? That's very different than calm down. So how we say things, we know this from the business world, how we say things is very important indeed. But I'm with you, Susan. I say, if someone is freaking out in front of you, what would be the kindest and most loving thing to say in that moment? How would you like somebody to approach you in that moment, and just sort of get clear on your words before you step in? Because it's like somebody who's already freaked out. We all know, friends, family members, business people, walking into a room, and we can sense the energy, and there's something very off, and we'll say something gentle like, what's wrong? Or is anything wrong? And the answer is, nothing's wrong. No, I'm fine. Clearly they're not fine. This requires a delicate touch. And again, I say, before you go into somebody else's energy in that scenario, do 30 seconds of heart-centered breathing while you're standing there. Oxygen mask on you first.
Sure.
Yes. Something's happening? What's happening?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's Michael.
Michael, I muted Michael.
Michael's wheeling and dealing, as he should.
Hey, Susan, you had mentioned this to before about this whole thing about, people saying things, and I after that, I've started noticing, my wife Myra, she would say, everything's okay. No, that's okay. It's good. And I'm like going, are you kidding me? And I realize we have to really listen closely to the other person, because it's really more about them than about us, whatever they're saying.
Correct.
You want to elaborate on that, Karen-Eileen? Because you must know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And this is sometimes challenging to remember if somebody's coming at you with a tsunami of anger, upset, stress, and verbal abuse. We've all been at all points in that spectrum. So that immediately we want to put up a wall and get defensive, but it's never about us. It's challenging to remember in the moment. It's about the other person. in their own stuff, almost projecting like a movie image onto us as a screen. So that image actually helps me when somebody's coming at me. I'm like, oh, they're not even really seeing me. They're so stirred up that they're projecting something else onto me as a lovely screen. So if I can stay calm, then I can maybe find a way to step towards them. But it's really useful to remember that it's not about us. It's somebody else having a moment, almost like in a bubble. Like if they're in a bubble, their bubble has expanded, so we're standing in it, but it's still not about us. They've sort of sucked us into it temporarily.
Okay, so let me get this straight then. So next time somebody's coming at you like that, to calm down, should I do that nose thing again?
Yeah, I want you to immediately do that, and then they'll go, "What the heck are you doing?" And then everything gets deflated, and you can have a conversation. I love that.
All right, I'm glad I got that straight.
Alternate nostril breathing. Yeah, there you go. I love it. Let
Do
me
we
know how
have
that
any other
goes.
questions?
Yeah.
Hey, can I jump in here? First of all, Mr. President, can I just say, for whatever reason, whatever you're doing, you look about 15 years younger than you did last week here. So keep up the good work on that. I don't know what you just did, but
I've been
you look
drinking,
amazing.
pina coladas at the tiki bar all week.
Dynamite. Keep it up.
It's
Keep it up. And Karen-Eileen, can I just please just say how thrilled I am with all the choices that you made in that improvisation with Larry David. You kept a straight face. Every decision that you made was spectacular and perfect, and I could not imagine it being done any other way here. And it was so fun, and to know that that was totally improvised is just thrilling to me, because it just shows how committed you were and how understanding of the situation were. With that little direction to come up with all of that was just tremendously fun. And so I just wanted to tell how much I appreciate that. That was lots of fun.
Hi, Antonio, are you a fellow actor? You said you
No.
talked?
No.
Thank you. That's such high
But
praise.
I just appreciate it so much.
That is such high praise. I thank you so much for those beautiful words. And I like the way every actor has their own approach. My approach to acting has always been, these are real people, regardless of the circumstances. So I was channeling a real hotel clerk who had a real customer in front of her who was quirky, and that makes it really joyful for me. They're real human beings that get to come to life through me, which is.
And I laughed out loud
Super.
when I heard the word shiksa in one of your.
That's Magic City from Stars. Yeah, that was a 1959 piece. That's what they wrote. That's she considered.
The blonde. Yeah, I thought that was cute.
It's funny. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I love the line when you said, the manager will be in tomorrow at 11 or whatever it was. How many times have you been in one of those situations? And they're like, well, you can wait till tomorrow, and you can see the fumes coming out of their ears, getting angrier. And especially Larry David getting so angry and nagging and pushing. Come on. So anyway, I thought that was very, very clever.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it. It was so fun to do. I mean, it's just brilliant to be able to work completely improvisationally. I mean, that's my favorite way to work. The Office, as you know, those of you who are fans of The Office, that show was almost entirely improvised. So there are shows that have been very well received that are completely improvised. They're rare, and they're gorgeous. They're like gems, hunks of gold.
Yeah, I think that'd be just a great pinnacle to an actor's career to have that experience.
Yeah.
May I comment on that episode also? I saw you as the clerk there, and you had a problem and he had a problem. And I was kind of annoyed with you, because why didn't you offer I'm a problem solver. So why didn't you say, let me check some other hotels in the neighborhood for you? And that's what I would have done, to kind of diffuse the situation. So I was a little annoyed with you. You did a great job.
Thank you very much. And I got some, I wouldn't call it hate mail, but I got some mail from people after the episode aired, and every time it airs, to that effect. Like, why weren't you more customer service forward? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I did the best I could. It was 2 a.m. and he was trying to get the room. Yeah. So thank you, Betty.
Hey, Eileen, I have another question alongside. You said that you did several takes in that scene, for example. Yeah. And so after a while, doesn't it become that you are actually writing a script as you're going along?
So
and
great, Alan. That's the best question ever.
Repeating what's going on. So
well, there are directors who like to work that way. So they'll do multiple takes of an improvised scene, Then they'll create a hard copy script, which everybody then sticks to and shoots. That is one way to work through production. With Curb Your Enthusiasm, we did, I'm going to say there were 4 takes of that scene. They were different every time. Completely different every time. And that's because Larry David is a master improviser, and I was able to follow that trail with him. So no, it didn't get repeated, but I understand your question. And there are times where you want to keep the things you liked from take 1 and then riff off of it and then go until you feel like you have a final piece. But in Curb Your Enthusiasm, that wasn't the process.
You see, if I was the clerk, I would have made a comment to him, something like, well, you know, if the queen showed up with a gorilla, we couldn't even let her in the room.
And that was one of those takes where that's the first time I'd heard that line. And so I had to keep from like laughing so hard that I couldn't speak. So I'm, you know, I'm the character, right? And I'm thinking, this customer is quirky, but he's very funny, and I need to stay professional. So it was that kind of war that I was fighting. But yes, I mean, he was hilarious. I mean, there's so many things, and there's more footage, but I showed you like the beginning of it. So it goes on after that, and he tries to bribe me with lots of things, pulls things out of his pocket and tries to bribe me.
You know, I actually tried that in a hotel once, and
it didn't work out so well.
I said to them, I said, so if the president of the United States showed up, would you have a room for him? And they said, yeah. I said, okay, well, he's not coming. Give me his room.
And they were like, funny, yes. But did you get a room? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Look at there, it works.
High five. It works. I'm gonna
Well,
borrow that.
Breakfast Clubbers, we're getting toward the top of the hour, and we'd love to continue asking questions, but I think at this point we're gonna need to end our recording. So let's give Karen-Eileen a hearty applause.
Oh, applause for you
thank
all.
you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was a joy. Have a beautiful day. You've made mine, so please have a beautiful day. And take
Thank you so
radical good
much.
care of yourselves, please.